Hello and good morning, everybody. 53 minutes after the hour on this Monday. I'm wave meteorologist Brian Good. Welcome to Storm Talk today. I don't know if you guys are feeling the same as well. I've been sneezing my head off all morning. Poor Swan had to listen to me. But allergies, yeah, they're spiking. So we always sneeze more, I think, in the morning than we do in the afternoon. So I apologize, not only because of what I sound like or even look like. Again, sneezing just hurts after a while, but I have so many tears in my eyes that I can't even read some of your comments sometimes. Everyone's blurry. So you can probably say whatever, and I probably would not understand in the chat today. So bear with me is what I'm trying to say. But I know I'm not alone. This is the time of the year when pollen counts spike. Noticed a lot of that pollen, that yellow film on the cars where the pollen is being dropped by the trees and by the bees. The bees are doing their thing too. A lot of honeybees too are out this year, which is a good thing. Love to see that because obviously they've been in danger for a while there. All right. Anyway, I'm rambling already and haven't started yet. Hope you guys are well. Hello to Andrew and Angela. Angela, you got a chance to mow. I did the same. Probably not a good idea today, but from doing that. But yeah, the ants are out like crazy too. I don't know if you guys have been noticing that. I have this awful battle with ants at my home. They are a pain, and mainly because I have a lot of flooding that happens in my area. So the ants love my neighborhood. Carrie, all the hives are loving it. You're right. Yeah, they are. They're all building hives everywhere. The birds everywhere. I got two robins that built nests in my yard now, and they don't know what to think about all the turtles. They stay clear of them all. And then, of course, you got that one squirrel in the neighborhood that just wants to steal all the food all the time. It's always an adventure this time of year, but I do like that. I do like watching a lot of the wildlife come to light and come out of their winter burrows there. All right, let's get right into it. We obviously have a severe risk for today. This will be later this afternoon, but as you've been hearing the past few days from us, I mean, it's really not a high in level at all in the severe chance, and it's going to be just for some of you. A widespread impact is still looking to be unlikely, so that's good. And this is going to be a lot earlier than our previous threats have been. So we're hoping we can get this in and get this out of here, and then we can enjoy the rest of our Monday evening. And based on what I've seen so far, that does look to be the case. But again, more on that in just a second. Let me show you first a look here at the Great Lawn. Nice to see it back. Well, the Ohio's back in its banks. Great Lawn, not exactly back to normal. All right, look at all that sludge and mud. Whew, what a mess. Yeah. Well, a good thing, again, we didn't have thunder to kind of trample on that even more because it would have actually killed it perhaps in a much more substantial way, and it would have ruined it for the entire summer. So at least now they can have a chance to clean it and preserve it and get it back green again here very, very soon. But what a mess that was, right? Okay, well, today we've got still some clouds around. These are ahead of our front that is moving in this afternoon. Not a bad setup. Temperatures have been relatively mild and pleasant outside. All right, we don't have any rain in the bucket yet. We had a few drops yesterday morning, but so far today, we've been dry. You can see the clouds have been racing in quickly from west to east ahead of the main flow, which will be the front, which will be dropping in about, I would say, 6 hours or so from now. Overall, today is going to be nice. It's going to be windy at times, but it will be partly to mostly cloudy. It will be warm. We have a very good chance of hitting 80. Louisville, probably a touch higher than that. So a very warm spring day. Pollen counts are going to be high because the pollen's going to be flying everywhere today. But as far as the rain chance goes, that's going to be a little more limited to the afternoon and early evening hours. So the front itself is way back here into areas of Kansas City, back into Chicagoland. But there is a little vortex, a little piece of energy that is going to move, and it already is on the map, into areas of western Missouri. That is going to rapidly track. Sorry about that. My pen's kind of, it's a Monday, guys. It's Monday. The low is going to rapidly track to the north and east. As it does so, the front is also heading to the south and east. So you have to imagine two different motions here. You got a potential wave for thunderstorms to pop at any moment. That little ripple, that wave that will trigger the storms, is going to be moving right over our area, heading into Ohio. But at the same time, a cold front will be pressing in from Chicago and Peoria, Illinois. That is going to squash any chance at a severe threat as it passes by any one location. So if you don't want storms, and I'm assuming most of you don't want to deal with this, then you want to cheer on the front to get here fast and keep it going to where it keeps the storm threat south of here. If you do want storms, then you want the front to slow down just a bit and you would get storm coverage a little more north into especially Indiana. So far, the trends today still support this is a Kentucky show more than Indiana. I haven't seen a lot of change on that timing, so that's at least good. I think it's going to be limited to, again, a late afternoon window. And even when the front does arrive, that energy is over us. There's another element that we have to look at, and of course, that will be, which you've heard several times already, I'm sure, is the cap, or a lid on the atmosphere. It keeps these thunderstorms from being able to pop. When you have a perfect scenario for a storm to form, you got warm ground temperatures, the air is rising. You want it to get colder as you go up, as it naturally does. Thunderstorms love that. They feed on that. But when they try to develop and they're on a good start and a good kick, and then they try to grow to a certain height, they run into the opposite, a layer of warm air that is above our head. Well, that will just kill a thunderstorm in 2 seconds. It won't be able to climb anymore or even show up on the radar. So that's what we call the cap. Now, models always vary on the intensity of that. And boy, it is a very sensitive issue, because if you take that lid away or you weaken the cap, that thunderstorm that's been trying to grow at the ground level then just looks ahead and sees there is no limit, and it'll take off. And it can happen within minutes. It can gain some height to it and become a thunderstorm, and then become a severe thunderstorm with hail and damaging winds. Again, it can happen rapidly. They're usually more violent too. Whenever the cap does break, the skyrocketing formation of a thunderstorm is so rapid that you can get, some cases, intense lightning starting to strike the ground before you really get rain falling. So anytime we see a lightning indicator, and that's what we're looking at today, are little hints of lightning along a bank of clouds that form. If we start to see that, we know that there's a chance the cap may be breaking, and we may very well be facing thunderstorms popping along that front today. It is unfortunately a wait and see type of setup. We got to take it hour by hour. I know it's frustrating, but at least we have a front that is moving through the area and not stalling, or it's going to take forever to get through here, or there's two fronts coming in, that ordeal. We don't have to deal with that mess. It's a one front setup, pushes in and pushes us out. So relatively minor issue on the severe side when you look at it in that scope. So far, the fuel that's trying to build up just now showing up across Missouri into southern Illinois. Not quite there. It's very low amounts here, guys. Only a few joules here of energy being shown up for the Cape. So it's just now starting out. You got to have the sun hitting the ground for a while to try to heat things up, and then you'll see that value really increase. So the Storm Prediction Center, and this was the most recent. The next one will be out, I believe, at 11:30 or 12:30. Always get an hour off this time of year. Time change gets me. Anyway, it'll be toward midday today. We'll have the next updates, and there's your slight risk. It was trimmed back last night, this morning, back toward Louisville, because it was trimmed to the east toward more of a focus in Lexington. They trimmed it back again. They may trim it back east again. And it's mainly because different forecasters come in and they get different types of data, and they're like, well, we know that once the wave gets into here, it has a much better chance to bust into the cap and therefore allow for thunderstorms to light up. But we're just not sure about Kentucky and Indiana. And that's how a lot of the forecasters feel, especially from the Storm Prediction Center. It's like, this is an iffy part. Will it pop or not? It's there. Will the cap hold? So unfortunately, you just can't trust models fully on that. I mean, they give you hints, but you got to really take it hour by hour. Breaking down these threats, though, is, again, you see that slight risk, which, by the way, has shifted a little more south, too. Not just west, but a little more over Kentucky, focused, starting to cut out more of Cincinnati. Seymour, basically out of it. Paoli, basically out of it. I would not take those of you in Indiana along the river out of the zone yet. I mean, you're technically in the severe risk, but I still think you'll be right at the point where they begin to develop, but they may not mature fast enough right away. I think once they get into Kentucky, they have a better chance to become mature thunderstorms if they can get through the cap and therefore become strong to severe. It's worth noting that if this cap indeed is too strong, you won't see anything. Maybe a brief shower that will try to form, but we'll all miss it and stay completely dry. So this entire forecast certainly has some bust potential to it, because we're at the mercy of that lid over the atmosphere. Unfortunately, that is what we have to deal with on days like this. Almost a very summer setup, really. So breaking down this severe risk, you see the slight risk roughly along 65 and points east. The tornado potential was added back in just because there is some potential for low-level shear to try to form. Right now, low-level shear is what really this system has been missing. It may try to build back in. If that's the case, then you can get a tornado threat. Otherwise, this was looking more like just a general downburst wind, some hail mainly because the winds are blowing nearly in the same direction all layers of the atmosphere. But sometimes when you get differences in speed shear, you can create a bit of a spin that can happen. But I wouldn't worry about that. I'm certainly not as worried on this setup as what we had in the past 3 that we've had in recent months here in the Ohio Valley. This one is by far the tamest I've seen. But it's certainly not zero. So you got to be careful. We don't want to ever say there's going to be no tornadoes. I don't think we can say that. We don't control the weather. I mean, we can't be that confident, especially in Kentucky. The terrain does play a role sometimes. So I do think overall tornado threat is going to be low, but it's not zero. Your straight line wind potential is one of the greater risks, which will likely trigger a warning if you get to that level. Again, that looks to be isolated along where that line pops. And your large hail is possible, especially the very first 30 minutes of its lifespan. You could get some larger hailstones that could begin to develop. All right, so let me show you Futurecast, and we'll take this hour by hour as we head into the rest of this afternoon, into the early evening. Here we are at 1 o'clock today, quiet, but we get to 3 o'clock. Now we start to see the very beginning hints of where the cap is trying to break into southern Indiana. But you can see it's struggling. So all you're seeing is just a few light showers that pop there in southern areas of Indiana. Not much action just yet. Let me advance this. Now you see what happened. As it moved into Ohio, that energy did. Now we're seeing the cells begin to really blossom in northern Kentucky. These will likely be ones producing hail, very heavy wind, damaging winds. But as we look back into Kentucky, I can tell that the front is right here, but this is the boundary that is waiting to come alive. So this is a snapshot at 5 p.m. And if you're in Shelbyville, Bardstown, Lebanon, Kentucky, you're going to be just waiting. It's going to look a little eerie out, but will they pop or not, or will they stay trapped underneath that mixed layer that we have above our head? Well, it shows that eventually they do pop at about 7 p.m. Again, the front keeps moving south, so it then limits that risk to only maybe 3 of our counties: Adair, Greene, and Taylor. Everywhere else, the front is clear to you, so you're safe. So this is a good scenario if we can limit it to only a few spots, but don't want the areas that are in those few spots that think we're ignoring you. We're not. We're going to be watching you and monitoring this hour by hour. But it's a very short duration, guys. Just a few hours of your time this afternoon to pay extra attention to the weather you normally would, and then and you'll be fine. We'll have a chance to quiet down. And then tonight starts to get cooler a bit late. Tomorrow will be a chilly day. Tomorrow will be the opposite. We'll start off with a lot of sun, and then we'll cloud up and get breezy and maybe some drizzle tomorrow afternoon. So tomorrow was not going to feel like today at all. So I hope you're ready for that. Let me get to what is the rainfall amounts, and I'll get into some of the soundings. First off, here's rainfall forecast from just that particular model. And you see what happens. It showed the hint where they tried to form, then raced into Ohio. And then there's nothing for Louisville, much of central Kentucky. And just when they fire up, they're only able to spend enough time to produce about a quarter to maybe a half inch of rain. But it could go higher if it's a little slower. But in general, we're not worried about flash flooding, thank goodness, or river flooding concerns with this setup. Here are the soundings. Let me take this full screen. And what I decided to do here, I know you're like, what am I looking at? Is this the matrix? Here is dividing it up here. This is the HER model on this side. This is the NAM model. I did a sampling because there's not much data, to be honest, for Louisville or Indiana that is showing any concern. So I pulled from Marion County. And when you look at Marion County, look carefully at the actual soundings. This is when we talk about when we launch weather balloons, we're able to get the same kind of look. But what you're looking for as you go traveling here to the north and west is that parcel going up. And it should be a line that goes more straight left. There is no bend to the right. There is a slight bend to the right that happens. It's a weak cap on the HER, but it is there as you travel a few miles up off the ground. You look at the NAM model, it too does indeed show that. Right there, the red line goes a little more to the right-hand side. I know it gets really complex, but what I'm basically trying to show you is the cap is there. It's not overly strong, but it is stout enough that I can see why it's keeping the lid. But boy, you knock this out on both models, and then you're going to end up with much more of a hail threat and damaging winds really, really fast. So just kind of a behind-the-scenes look there at some of the data that we're trending. Any questions I can try to get, and then we'll get into some of the other outlook and specifics all the way into Easter as well. Cameron's already on that. No cap. No cap. NJ, good morning, watching you, and then I'm off to go mow. All right, wear a mask if you can to prevent yourself from taking in that pollen. I'm telling you, it's bad out there. Haley, just joining now, no volume. Let me know if you have volume now. I think everything looks good on the indicators. The volume's coming through. So make sure you don't have anything tapped that's muted at all. Everyone's good. You guys are quiet today. Is everyone just sleepy? Type 1 for sleepy. Hi, Nikki. Good morning. Severe potential low. It is low. It's not zero. It's enough that I think we could get a few warnings for this afternoon. I do think that's possible because the Challenge Weather Service asked, but us as well for TV, we're going to be watching. And as soon as we get a little hint that they're going to start gaining height, it can get past, especially 20,000 feet. If we start seeing that sign that they're gaining, then that should be one of our first indicators the cap is breaking. And then you'll see a little bit more of an urgency from us for anyone along that path and point south. But as I mentioned several times here, the front is moving in. So as long as the front can clear your area fast enough, you'll be in fine shape. You may not even get a drop of rain at all today. You may stay completely dry. So if you wash your car today, you may actually be okay. But if you're in Bardstown or in Southern Kentucky, yeah, you're in trouble. It's going to get soaked. Everyone's good. All right. How long did I say this one will last? This one's only going to last maybe 20, 30 minutes if it can form, ZK. If it can form, about 20, 30 minutes. And that's about it. All right, let's move on. Let's get to the next system. That is going to take us to the end of the week. After that cool backlash, we're going to see tomorrow the showers, gusty winds. Tomorrow, again, not exactly a pretty day. We're going to reverse things again and warm up rapidly. That means more wind will come into play, especially as we into late Thursday and Friday. Strong gusty winds may get advisory level winds, but it will allow us to get into the 80s. Now, a severe weather outbreak will likely be taking place ahead of this front in the Midwest into the Great Lakes. But the front will begin to tilt. Here it is Saturday afternoon. It becomes a little more east-west oriented and begins to tilt or lays down, whatever, just relaxes over the Ohio Valley. And that's a good sign that the front is weakening. It's losing its gas. It doesn't have that force with it. So I think, let me back this up one more frame so you can see Friday. This is when your severe weather will be breaking out. Right in through here. Whoop, hold on. Let me play this again. Right into, say, Chicagoland, maybe Missouri, northern Indiana, the UP of Michigan. That's when your severe risk would be the most maxed out with this system. Then again, watch what happens as we head into Friday night and Saturday. The front just tilts and becomes east-west. Now, you can still get a few gusty thunderstorms along that path, but that is usually more of a heavy rain scenario. Thankfully, there's not a ton of moisture with this setup. So while we could get multiple rounds of passing showers and storms, the rainfall rates do not look to be excessive right now. Obviously, we're going to be watching that, given our pattern that we've had. But right now, I don't see anything too alarming. That should hold until perhaps Easter. The issue right now with Easter is a new storm is going to be forming here into portions of Missouri or Illinois or even Kansas. I'm still trying to figure out the point of where this storm will blossom. But it will likely form in that region some point on Easter Sunday. But because of that, because it is a developing storm to our west, that may actually cut us a break to where we can stay quiet, because the storm has to really do its thing first before it can send severe weather our way. So I think that may allow us to sacrifice at least its system. We'll have to sacrifice a day of getting organized. And that may end up being Easter, that it needs a day to kind of figure out what it's doing. And we will gladly accept that to give us a little bit of a break on Easter Sunday. However, once it gets organized, then it'll roll in on Monday. I guess that's fair. Let us have a holiday without any weather drama. That'd be nice. We'll get into Monday. Perhaps a severe signal here that we'll be watching could grow in future updates a week from today. And then we'll just keep this pattern repeating. The NAO, the oscillations down the road are still negative. The Arctic oscillation is still negative. So I still think we're going to get these systems going to keep rolling in over and over again from the Midwest and the plains, and you're going to get energy at times coming in from the Rockies as well. So I think our biggest challenge we're going to monitor for the rest of April into May is going to be a large high pressure, again, our subtropical high in the Atlantic. Monitoring this carefully. This is going to really dictate the end of spring and early summer, depending on how much this thing will fight back. Once it does fight back, it will give us some warm weather and some breaks. But if it hangs out in just the wrong spot, the risk to get more cold fronts to get stuck in the Ohio Valley is there, and just don't want that. But that pattern keeps trying to show up, keeps trying to repeat itself. And it was doing this in the wintertime, but it was cold. So it was snow that we were getting every few weeks. And then we saw what happened. We warmed up. We got rain every few weeks that eventually has led to this flooding scenario. So we need to shake up this whole regime here. And while this week it isn't too bad, I do see it trying to come back as we close out April into May. But we'll take it one step at a time. All right, let's get right into the 10-day. Always ramble on Monday, so I apologize. Let's see if I can get into some of your questions I got to run here. Let's see. Any chance the moisture be cut off on the 19th? Trying to plan for a flood cleanup there. On the 19th, yeah, I think the 19th is just going to be really more about scattering of showers and storms, because, again, it'll be more active on Friday. By the time we get into Saturday, it should begin to weekend, but I don't think it's going to be completely dry on Saturday, no, unfortunately. I do think it's going to be showery, passing thunderstorms, but I do not see a severe signal right now, Olivia, but stay tuned. We'll watch that. I think it's really how it tilts and settles in the Ohio Valley that is going to be interesting. Nikki, what's your thoughts on planting? Very hesitant to put anything out. I don't see any frost potential right now with this setup, and we'll always say to wait until Mother's Day or Derby Day to do that. This year may be a little different, to be honest, because as long as that high is off the East Coast, that is usually a warming signal at night to prevent us from getting anything extremely cold. But just hang tight for a bit longer. I was at Lowe's yesterday, and yeah, I saw everyone. The annuals are everywhere. Everyone's buying up left and right. I understand. I mean, you do it at your own risk. I mean, you can still plant annuals. It's just you're going to have to get out there and cover them up all the time if we get close to frost level. It's just a lot more work. So it's a lot easier to wait. Okay, let's see. And Adam, there's your follow-up question. Do you think we'll get below freezing again? Not right now. Right now, I'm not seeing that signal. And if we get past this end of May or end of April setup, yes, we're done. We will be done with that. All right, guys, I'm going to run. Appreciate it as always. Take care of yourselves. Take your allergy meds. Try not to sneeze too much. And I will see you guys come up at midday. And just stay weather aware. Again, we're going to go roughly about 3 to 7. I think it's a fair window this afternoon. Just be extra weather aware. And again, Indiana, you'll be cleared first. You may be cleared out of the storm threat by as early as 3 p.m. For those of you saying Greene, Taylor, and Adair County, we may not be able to clear you from the severe risk until about 9 o'clock for tonight. So we'll keep you updated on social media and our newscast on that timing. Take care, guys. See you on the flip side.